at 5.
Albany police say no foul play is suspected after finding a body in Lake Loretta today. Officers tell us the man was pulled out of the water off Dawson Road just after 10 this morning. They are working now to find the next of kin before releasing his name. Albany Police, Albany Fire Department, EMS, and the Dougherty County Coroner were called to the scene after 2 joggers reported seeing a body floating in the water. The man was believed to be in his 60s. An autopsy will be performed to determine the cause of death. We spoke with a man who lives in the area and says he's surprised to hear the news.
Most of the time you have a lot of runners, walkers, and people there that's feeding the ducks. As you can tell, it's normally very quiet in this area.
Dougherty County Coroner Michael Fowler tells us the man lived in Baconton, Lee County, and Albany at different points in his life. If you think this may be your loved one, you are asked to call Albany Police. Tonight, the GBI and Cordele police are asking for tips in a homicide investigation. Police say they found 28-year-old Tony McCall shot dead late Christmas night. He was found around 11:30 p.m. in a car in the parking lot of Joe's Meat Market on South Joe Wright Drive. Police say it's not clear how long the victim had been dead. The GBI has been called in to help with the investigation. If you know anything about McCall's death, call the Cordele Police Department at 229-276-2921. One person is in critical condition after dozens of shots were fired outside a Moultrie apartment complex on Christmas Day. WALB News 10's Rashawn Bassett spoke with people who live in the neighborhood who say they are fed up with the violence.
Many residents here on Shy Manor Drive say that they are over the crime in their neighborhood, so much so that many are ready to move. One woman says that she saw a man cross the street and collapse on the sidewalk after being hit by a bullet. Police are investigating a shooting that took place near the corner of North Side and Shy Manor Drive. They were called to the complex around 7:15 last night. One man was taken to the hospital with critical injuries while the other was treated and released. Officers and GBI agents picked up more than 50 shell casings at the scene. Residents also shared that a number of children were outside at the time of the incident. They say their children were put in danger and they were saddened that they could not enjoy a safe Christmas holiday. They're constantly worried about their safety and they would like to see more of a police presence. At this time, law enforcement is still investigating the shooting. Coming up at 6, hear what residents believe was the cause of the Christmas Day incident. In Moultrie, Rashawn Bassett, WALB News 10.
A Clinton County family is mourning after a man died in a fire over the weekend. We spoke with Tremaine Foster about his stepfather, Clarence Kelsall. Investigators say Kelsall died inside his Homerville home Sunday after it went up in flames. His neighbor, Elizabeth Tolbert, says she worked with him at B-Way Corporation for 20 years. Tolbert says he's going to be missed by a lot of people. Foster says his stepdad was a great parent who taught him how to be a good father to his own kids.
You know, it's going to strengthen us and pull us together as a family, and, you know, everybody got to step up. We got to be there for my mom. She's, you know, it's weak in her, and it's going to be a while. She'll never be the same.
The state fire marshal's office says they are waiting for autopsy results before naming a cause, but they say right now it appears to have been a cooking fire. We now know the name of the man who died after a shooting in Worth County. We've got a look at some video from the scene Monday. According to the GBI, 47-year-old Lonnie Futrell died after the shooting Monday afternoon on Commercial Lane in Poulan. We also know an unidentified woman was shot and is still in the hospital. We are working to learn her name and condition tonight, and we'll continue to keep you updated with this story on air and on our WALB News 10 app. A dry evening in store for us in Southwest Georgia. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Yolanda Amadeo is in the Weather Center with our forecast.
Yeah, it has been dry all day long, Emileigh, but yes, we are beginning to see some more clouds in the area, but that won't bring rain this evening. However, that changes moving on into tomorrow. Here's a live view through our Alpha Cam down in Valdosta, where the roads are pretty decent right now in terms of not being slippery. Of course, the clouds have begun to thicken up in some areas, and that's going to be the trend for the remainder of tonight. Pretty mild readings are holding. 64 in Albany, 63 currently Camilla, Thomasville, as well as Valdosta, Nashville, Tifton reporting 62. Cordele is 61, 60 over in Cuthbert. Blakely right now at 61. If you're heading out this Wednesday evening, yes, it will become mostly cloudy, especially later on this evening. Notice temperatures slowly falling from the upper 50s in less than an hour into the mid 50s. So we'll have a slow drop in those readings for the remainder of tonight as a result of the cloud deck. Otherwise, looking out for those weather conditions as we move into tomorrow. Looks like an extended period will be with us not only for the end of the year, but also as we start the new year. And here's a look at some of those clouds beginning to really thicken across areas of the South Georgia, and that's going to continue with rain not far behind. We'll have more details in just a bit.
All right, thanks so much, Yolanda. Now, if you are traveling this week, you can still keep track of the changing weather thanks to our First Alert weather team. Just download our WALB weather app. It's got live radar for you to look at, and of course, that 7-day forecast as well. It is free to download on the App Store or Google Play. Tonight, Albany police are warning you if you're preparing to celebrate the new year, don't shoot your guns in the air. Each year, as New Year's Eve approaches, officers say they warn the public about the basic law of physics and the annual misguided tradition of shooting guns in the air. APD says people can get hurt, sometimes even killed, when bullets shot into the air fall back down to the ground. Just last year, a Colquitt County man lost his life to a stray bullet on New Year's Eve night. Colquitt County Sheriff's deputies tell WALB today they may never find Alonzo Cortez's killer because he died by a stray bullet. According to a new study, gun violence is on the rise here in the U.S., so much so the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention calls it a public health epidemic. Meredith Wood explains in today's Health Minute.
Gun deaths in the United States reached a record high in 2017. That's according to recent analysis by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Almost 40,000 people were killed by firearms last year, the highest number since at least 1979, when firearm deaths were first coded in mortality data. Less than 20 years ago, there were just under 29,000 gun deaths per year in the U.S., a difference of more than 10,000 lives. The data includes homicides, unintentional deaths, deaths in a war or legal interventions, and undetermined deaths. CNN found that nearly 24,000 of the gun deaths were suicides, the highest rate in 18 years. The National Rifle Association says the solution is not creating more gun laws, but gun legislation advocates call the rising numbers proof the country is facing a public health epidemic when it comes to gun violence. For today's Health Minute, I'm Meredith Wood.
President Trump visits with troops overseas and sounds off on critical issues dominating conversation across the country. A look at his visit next.